TinyTableGames. In this episode, it will be episode 9 of 5 Leagues from the Borderland. The last time, the crew fought off a rather large 9-skeleton horde. Sarge didn't make it, everybody else did. One person wounded, not too bad overall, considering how that went. A little closer than I would have liked. Regardless, they made it. And now it's time to make their way off to Glasswater Village to pick up some extra adventure points, then up to Wheat Ridge to grab a letter, run it back to Glasswater Village for another adventure point and story point, swing over to Fort Crane so they can meet a stranger. They need to do that soon though because he's only there for 2 turns, and recruit another follower, and you get a bonus for recruiting at a fort, so that's kind of the other good reason to stop there. So it'll probably be Glasswater Village to pick up the adventure points, or maybe just Wheat Ridge first. Tough call. And then over to Fort Crane to recruit, and then back over to deliver the letter. And after that, we'll see about clearing out that circle of civility I was mentioning on the map, and either take out one of the camps or explore the recently discovered unexplored area. Thank you for watching, and come along.
So, like I was saying, we are starting off in location 20, which we've just cleaned out, which was that undead camp. We are going to make our way next up to Glasswater Village because we can pick up 2 adventure points there, and there's a stranger encounter waiting for us. The 2 adventure points come from another quest where it's that bring supplies and, you know, make everybody feel happy, I guess, or whatever. And then we're going to cut down to Fort Crane, which is another stranger quest. Plus, you get a +1 to recruitment checks for picking up a new follower, which we need to do. After that, the plan is to, assuming nothing weird happens, and we do that, then we're going to head up to Wheat Ridge to pick up a letter, which needs to get delivered back down to Glasswater for yet another adventure point and another extra gold mark. And at that point, we should be souped up on adventure points. We might try and lower the overall threat rating on somebody, or we'll upgrade Lucky to a hero if we haven't already. And after that, we're going to head down, I think, to here, to this Ruin Within Thieves Camp, and see if we can't clear them out. Then we'll probably bounce down to Applewood, which is the biggest city in the Breen's Peace area, to gear up, buy everybody better armor if they don't have it, because we've got like 24 gold. And we'll probably have more than that by the time we're done with this, because we'll just keep using the campaign event of living off the land, so we don't have to spend money for supplies. And then after that, it'll be time to take out the Death Knight. And then after that, assuming the campaign is still going, then it'll be time to check out 21, which is an unexplored location, because I'm trying to create this pocket of civilization right here. So then the thing we'll have to hit after that is 16, which is the Faceless Kingdom hideout, which is a thing we have to get rid of anyway. So that's the plan. First thing to do, though, is start the day down at location 20 so we can make our way up to Glasswater Village. And as always, it's the D100 roller for the camp results. 89. I thought it was going to be an 88 there for a second, which we've rolled 88 so often I almost remember what it is, but not quite. A roaming visitor. Conduct a normal travel encounter to see what they are up to. A lot of travelers out and about. I assume that's because we're doing such a good job of making it more civilized. 54 is a generic scholar. So the scholar's attitude is, I think, favorable. 53, sociable. Roll on the sociable subtable. Maybe you'll give us something good. Higher is better with sociable tables. That is not higher. 45, we made a friend. You can add the character as a friend. So we have a scholar friend, and we will call our scholar Chip. So we've got Chip and Dale and Kitty as friends of our adventuring party so far. And for our 2 campaign activities, we're going to live off the land so we don't have to pay upkeep costs for the group. And we're going to scout, which we need a 9+ on the scouting test. I believe Wolf has a +1 to scouting, so we need an 8+ to make it work. And if we do, that means that we don't have to make the travel roll and we can just go directly to Glasswater Village. Hey, wolf comes through. That's awesome. And with that, with our successful scouting roll and foraging for goods, there's nothing else to do. And so we make our way from down here all the way up, going around the enemy camp there, up to Glasswater Village at number 3, where we pick up 2 adventurer points and we get to make a traveler encounter. So I will add those adventure points to our adventure point stock, which brings us up to 4. So back to traveler encounters. Something interesting. 24 is a generic merchant who is 75. That's as high as we've rolling on that. He is outright friendly. Ooh, the friendly table. Add the character as a friend. Oh, that's it. So another merchant. Dave is the first merchant, so I guess Dan will be the second merchant. Maybe they're brothers. We made it to Glasswater Village. We picked up our 2 adventure points. We ran into Dan the merchant. There's no encounters or anything like that, so we run straight to the resolution phase and see how the rest of the day goes. And in this case, the rest of the day is actually just rolling on the news table. And we'll see what's going on in the world. 80. Oh, it's always on the next page, isn't it? A friend needs your help. Huh, that's funny. Probably Dan, I guess. You'll receive 1 additional story point for helping to carry out a contract. Okay. So we'll add that to our list of things to do, and we'll roll up here in a second what that contract is. Okay, first the rewards roll, which is a 65 for our contract, and a 65 is D6 gold marks. 6, so it's a 6 gold mark contract. Well, that doesn't stink. And what sort of contract is it? Well, we check the contract type table. Next, and of course it's a D100. It is contract type 38, which is retrieve an item. Okay. Retrieve an item. A trinket was lost out in the middle of nowhere and needs to be brought back safely. Add an unexplored location in the wilderness. To complete this contract, explore the location. If a battle or potential encounter results, the item will be placed in the center of the battlefield and must be retrieved by holding the field, or moving the character into contact with the item during the fight and taking an interact action. Interesting. If the location is a delve, the item is always found on depth 1. The item must then be brought to the location where you obtained the contract, in this case Glasswater Village. If you did not retrieve the item during the battle, it is lost and the contract cannot be completed. Which also means that because we got our contract from Dan the Friendly Merchant, it drops off our friends list because he's a transactional kind of friend. Well, we met Dan in Glasswater Village. We got to add another location that's unknown. So I'm going to say it's probably, let's see, 21's unknown, right? Yep. So we will add 22. We'll put it right here. Unknown location. Contract. We've got 3 turns to get down to 22. I don't think that's going to interfere with our plan too badly at this point. Interesting. Well, that's a bit of a plot twist. Interesting news for the end of the day. With that, the day ends, and all is peaceful in Glasswater Village. Thing first, 21 in the town events, which is offerings of food and shelter. You don't have to pay upkeep this turn. The only person who is in the process of healing at the moment is Claus, who got banged up in that last fight versus the undead, so he's got 1 more day to go before he's fully functional and ready to fight. We're going to try scouting first to see if we can do it. Once again, as always, we need an 8+ to pull that off. That is not it. So we will use our second action to try scouting again, and this time we need a 9+ because the other person's not quite as adept at it. But we get the 9. So we don't have to make the travel roll to get down to Fort Crane. Okay, we're onto the trade step, which we don't always do, but in this case we do. This time we're going to trade in our collection of spears from our dead followers, plus a dagger, so that'll be 3 more gold pieces, and unload that stuff out of our inventory that we don't really need anymore. So, looking through the group and what they can get, part of what I want to do is upgrade everybody's defenses. So I can't buy partial armor in a hamlet. It's got to be a village or a town, so can't do that here. But we can buy helmets and shields. Now, I double checked. Anybody can carry a shield and anybody can have a helmet. A helmet, if you roll doubles on your injury roll, it automatically negates it. So that's cool. I mean, it's not super common, but you never know. And for 3 gold, that might save you some trouble. And a shield adds 1 to your armor if you're any ranged attacks, plus you can parry. So if you roll a 1 in the fight against the opponent, you can parry it and stop their attack when you're the defender, which is probably more useful than the helmet, to be honest. But that's probably also why it costs more. Claus has a partial armor, gives him a 2, so we need to buy him a bow, or excuse me, a shield. So that'll be 4 gold for him. And Ivan also does not have a shield, so that's 8 gold. And Lucky has partial armor, but also not a shield. So we shall get her one as well. So that's 12 gold and 3 shields to gear up everybody a little bit more. So that brings us down to 19 gold pieces, but it does give literally everybody in the warband a shield now. So everybody has a chance to parry and has a +1 armor versus ranged attacks. So that's nice. The other thing we can always buy are bandages. Single use, 2 points each, or 2 gold each. So we're going to buy, I think, maybe 3 bandages for 6 gold, which allows you to, well, maybe 4 bandages. May want to splurge on that just a little bit to cancel out wounds as they happen, assuming they aren't just automatically taken out. That's always the thing. So 3 bandages, maybe? 3 bandages. And maybe 1 more silver tree leaf, although that is 6. But the advantage of silver tree leaf is it lets you make a reroll on the injury table. Because we are out of bandages altogether right now, and we only have 1 silver tree leaf. And we got 19 gold. So we'll up our silver tree leaf by 1 for 6 gold. So we got 2. Takes us down to 13 gold. Don't know that I want to get too much lower than that. So we will buy 2 bandages, take us down to 9 gold. And that'll do it for our shopping spree. That done, it's time to make our way down to Fort Crane. And remember, we scouted, so there's nothing to do there except straight down here. So nothing weird happens on the way. And remember, the reason we hit Fort Crane is for 2 reasons. There's a stranger roll to make, stranger encounter, and we want to recruit a follower, and you get a +1 to recruitment rolls in the fort. So time to make our travel encounter and see what we get. It'd be neat to get somebody unique or interesting like that. But I don't think a 45 is probably going to pull that off for us. A 45 is, in fact, another pilgrim. Let's see what attitude they have. It's possible with an 86 to 100 that it could be special, a special pilgrim, which always gives you something more interesting. But no, in this case, it's a disinterested pilgrim, which means they just wander on. So absolutely nothing happens. That's kind of a letdown. But at least, I guess, nothing bad. On to traveling. We got there, nothing exciting happened. We met the dude, no big deal. So end of day news, 34. At this point, I'd be happy with nothing. Oh, the enemy is acting against you. Roll on the enemy plans table, page 207. Oh, I guess we've got plans in gear, so they do too now. Well, that's a new one. Let's see. Enemy plans. At various points during gameplay, you may be directed to the enemy plans table below. This means the enemy is in position to take action. If you are in a region where all threats have been eliminated, you may ignore any result that would refer you here. After all, there are no more enemies to move against you. Rolls marked with an asterisk require selecting a random threat that exists in the region and will apply to that threat only. This is the only table in the book that cannot be affected by story points. What you roll here must come to pass. Oh, and it is, of course, a D100. Let's see what we got. the enemy moving against us is an 86. That probably is bad, because higher is always bad, right, on the enemy tables? 86. The enemy has summoned an aberration. Yep, that's bad. Place a monster lair on the map near a settlement. Select a random settlement at the conclusion of each future campaign turn and roll a d6. On a 1 or a 2, reduce the settlement in size by 1 step. From a town to a village to a hamlet, from a hamlet to an abandoned village, and then remove it from the map altogether. Once the monster has attacked the town, it is satisfied and will not attack again. Wow. Wow, all right. Things are just getting busy. We're going to have to go fight an aberration, apparently. And it's going to be next to 3, which is, of course, Glasswater Village. Man. I hope their village prices for their huts have gone down. So I guess because it's got to be next to it, we'll call it right here, 23. An aberration lair. And we're going to have to kind of detour, I think, and after Fort Crane, head straight over there, because we don't want them to chew down Glasswater Village into nothingness. That kind of goes against our plan. The letter can wait. There's no time limit on the letter. We do need to retrieve an item from 22. But we got to go stop that first. We've got 2 more turns, 2 more days after this. Okay, so at the start of the next day in Fort Crane, we can recruit a dude and then travel straight to that site, have the fight, get through the fight. That'll be 1 more day, which will still give us enough time to get down here to get through that fight. And then we can head up to Wheat Ridge and then down to Glasswater Village to deliver the letter and then go for the camp and all that. All right. So, important change in plans. All right. So, the next morning, and we shall see how the day goes. 89. Locals give you 1 pack of rations. Oh, that's nice. Okay, for the campaign activities, normally I would say we'll just live off the land or, help around town so we don't have to pay for it. But first, what we need to do is recruit in case we need to make 2 recruitment checks to get our guy if we fail on the first one. So we pay 2 gold for our team for the day. Claws heal all the way up, which is just in time, all things considered. So now we have 2 campaign rolls and we will recruit. And if that goes successfully on the first go around, we shall then scout. But first we recruit. So it costs 1 gold mark and you have to make a 7+ leadership test. +1 if you're in a town, -1 if you're in a hamlet, +1 in the fort too. So it's a 6+ leadership test. So 6 or better, please. Whew. We got a 7. So our gold mark was well spent. And we now get to pick up a new follower. Okay, so our new follower, who for the record will be follower number 4, because we do tend to go through them. 75. Is a stout yeoman. Welcome to Clyde. Joining the team. So next up is a scouting roll, and I will say that this is one thing that I don't do according to the book, because it says scouting is an activity you can only do in camp, which is absolutely ridiculous. You can scout anywhere. So 8+ for the scouting check to be able to go directly to location 23, the aberration who's about to wipe out Glasswater Village. Literally. So 7+. Nope, don't get it. So he's got a spear and a sling, which is a -1/0, 10-inch range. We're going to have to take a slight detour from Fort Crane and go straight over to 23. Hopefully we get there on the first try, so we can go fight this aberration and stop whatever's going on there so Glasswater Village isn't destroyed. Travel roll, since we didn't make the scout check. 84, I think, is the obstacle, isn't it? Yep, no. Miserable weather. Make a 9+ traveling test. If you pass, arrive at your destination as expected. Okay, well, I've got a +2 to traveling thanks to one of the dudes, so it's a 7+ traveling check, which we just make. So we arrive at the destination despite miserable weather, and that's thanks to George St. Clair. Of course it is. All right, the next thing we got to do is find out what we're fighting at this aberration at this camp, and then we'll roll up what its lair is. D100. It is 51. And 51 is a griffin. Wow. It has wings, it can charge, a speed of 9 inches, +2 combat, +1 armor, +1 toughness penetration, it has 1 point of armor only, and 5 toughness. It's real speedy, but that could be a lot worse. Okay, because I don't really have a griffin miniature, the part of the griffin will be played by this horrible looking tentacled thingy that's of a good scale compared to the humans. Based on, I think this is from Zombicide, maybe one of the Horde boxes. It's been a while. In any case, this will be our griffin for the purposes of this. And, you know, pretend the tentacled things are all flappy for flying. It only makes sense since they summon the creature to put him in the middle. And effectively, this is the camp raid scenario in that these guys are going to try and scoot up and attack without being noticed. So at the start of it, since we're encroaching on an enemy camp, we first move up one character up to 4 inches, and then we roll to see if the aberration notices us, which is roll 2d6, and if it's equal or greater than the distance out, they notice. But obviously, our new recruit slash dog meat is Clyde, is going to be the one to move up first. 1, 2, 3, 4. That gives him partial cover, which gives a -1 to the roll, or a +1 to the roll, I should say, since larger is better. So that makes it a 9, or excuse me, it's got to be less than, so it should be a 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now he notices anyway, which makes sense. And so we'll go straight into initiative. And once again, we have a full 6 companions for now, or 5 companions and a hireling. And that's not bad. 3 people going early. The caster's going to go first, because he is going to cast the Meekness spell, which will reduce the Griffin's armor penetration to 0/0 rather than +1/+1, which I think would be a great thing. 6 to make this work, but he has a +2 casting, so he only needs to get a 4 to make Meekness go. And he does. So for this round, he has a 0/0 penetration, which is probably a really beneficial thing. At least I hope it is. And that's the first of 3 castings that he gets to do for free. Next up, we will have Claws, I guess, take a shot with his longbow. It doesn't have any extra penetration, but it does have 24 inches. And the flying thing is up on a rock, so everybody can see him. Because I know that may seem slightly cheesy, but it makes sense. Since he has wings, why would he not be up in the air? And obviously, he is more than 6 inches away, so he will be hitting on a 5+. Come on, Claws. Nope, but he's also not out of ammo, so I'll take it in that regard. All right. You always do suck, dude. Wolf also has no problem with the range, considering it's a crossbow. So hitting on a 5+ because it's more than 6 inches. Nope. And he's out of ammo. All right. Well, thanks for volunteering to run to the front. That's it for the early guys. So now it's the monster's turn. He can fly 9 inches. He's going to go to the first target he can see, which is, of course, the new guy, who I might add still doesn't have armor, because we didn't think it was worth buying it for him. And we're probably right. So he's going to land right here. And he has a +2 combat value to Clyde's 0 combat value, and the Griffin charge, so that gives him another +1. So he's actually at a +3. Well, yikes! During the first attack, and then it'll be a +2 after that. So he wins. That's not really a surprise. And now he has to see if he can roll over his toughness, which is a 3. And remember, he's at a 0. So a 1 doesn't do anything except stun him. 2 or 3 wounds him, and a 4, 5, or 6 takes him out immediately. He is out immediately. Well, it was nice knowing you, buddy. Maybe you'll survive. Okay. Thankfully, the monster doesn't get multiple turns in a round. And now the rest of the slowed people get to go. George is going to take full advantage of the fact that he doesn't want this thing to charge him. But we should really let Lucky shoot first, because even if she can't hurt him, maybe she can stun him. So she's going to move closer so she can get the 3+ to hit. And she does. Let's see. He's got 1 point of armor. No problem there. And for aberrations, for the toughness, it's not quite normal. What you do is, if you roll a 1, it has no effect. There's no stunning. If you roll equal, it reduces his monster points by 1, aka his hit points. He's got 3 of them. And if you roll over it, it would be -2, but he only has 3 hit points. So regardless, if she rolls anything but a 1, it reduces 1 of his monster points. And there's no such thing as stunning, apparently, in this guy. All right. Oh, she should have moved closer. That was stupid. Sorry, George. George may need to hang back 1 more turn, but then he's going to get... No, he won't. He'll back up and let Lucky take it. That's harsh, but still. Because she should have moved up enough to give him his 1-inch bonus. Silly, silly me. All right. Well, so it goes. At least the monster is down 1 monster point already. So George will charge in, because that's how he is. George has a +1 to his combat value. The Griffin has a +2, so George is at a slight disadvantage here, because I positioned him poorly. But what are you going to do? But he does have his Fey armor, which is nice, and his fine shield. So if nothing else, he can try and parry if necessary. So the Griffin is at a +1 for the first exchange, but George actually wins anyway, 5-4. Anything, actually he's got a heavy mace, so that punches through 1 point of armor anyway, so it goes straight on to toughness. So anything but a 1, and in fact it's a 6. So that removes 1 of the monster points there too. Surprisingly, this dude's already down to only 1 point. I guess that's why his loot rating is kind of low compared to a lot of the other ones. Don't give him a chance, I guess, is really the rule of thumb here. That leads to the second exchange. George is still the attacker. The aberration is ironically actually pushed back 1 inch. George will, of course, follow up, because that's George. Second exchange, the aberration still has a +1 on him. And it's 5-1. So the aberration, now George would be able to parry, except he was already the aggressor, so it doesn't matter. So going into the third attack, the aberration is the aggressor. And it is 4-3, so the aberration wins. And the Griffin now has to roll 4 or better to get past all of George's armor. And he sure does. Will we be burning a story point? We may be. And now his toughness, George's toughness, is now a 4-2. So he'll probably be wounded. Yep, George is wounded. I can accept a wound. That is okay. Dare I say, significantly better than I would have expected. I mean, yeah, we lost a guy already. But, yeah, that was just bad luck on his part. You know, circle of life, I guess. All right, so 2 people will be going first. And that was the end of the turn. So the armor penetration on the Griffin comes back. But I don't want to give him the attack lead, so we'll probably have George go first anyway. And of course we'll give the 2 over here to Claus, so he can attempt to shoot him in the early phase also. First, Claus is going to go, and this time I'm going to be smart enough to remember to move up the 4 inches to give him a backup, which also means, by the way, that Claus can't shoot his bow because he had to move more than halfway. 1, 2, 3, 4. If I move him up another, no, he can't quite get there. But he can back up George, which is probably more valuable at this point. And that said, now it'll be George versus the Griffin. Because he's got his backup within 1 inch, George is at a +2 combat value, which equals the Griffin's. So it's a straight roll this time. Oh, should I be healing George? No, I have a story point. Worst comes to worst, I'll burn a story point. Oh boy, worst may be coming to worst. The Griffin won that one, so the Griffin will be the aggressor in the second exchange. And the Griffin wins the second exchange. Let's see, he's got a 4 better to get through the armor. He doesn't quite get there. Woof! Yay for all the armor. But he's still in the lead, and he pushes George back 1 inch. The Griffin will, of course, follow up. Whoop, not fall over. I follow up, not fall over. And that's bad luck. Don't have George look in the other direction like he's running. Holy cow, this guy's unbalanced as heck. What are you doing, Simon? All right. So, George lost the second, so the Griffin's the aggressor in the third. But George wins the third, and that will end the combat. I'll take it. Okay, now it's time for everybody else. Lucky is going to shoot. She's within 6, and there's no detriment to shooting into close combat, so 3+. She hits no problem. 1 point of armor to overcome, which she does. And pretty much anything, 3, causes him to lose 1 more monster point and end this combat. That was weirdly easy when you have armor. Otherwise, I would have lost 2 guys already. And just like that, the paper tiger that was the Griffin is defeated. And we go on to resolution. And I checked a couple times. Turns out that's just not that hard to beat relative to how things go. Okay, so when you complete a battle against, as they call it, a creature most vile, the loot is based on its rating, in this case a 2, which is lower than even the golem was, I do believe. So they get 2 gold pieces, 2 bonus experience, in addition to the just 1 experience per person, 2 loot rolls, +1 story point, +1 adventure point. That's the fighting and aberration bonus, plus the actual end of round resolution bonuses, which we shall get to now. So we defeated an aberration, so we get 1 adventure point for the aberration. So that's good. That's about it on that point. So it's a grand total of 2 adventure points that we pick up for this defeat. So that brings us up to 6. I'm going to need a new eraser soon. All right. So that's the 6 adventure points. We get 2 gold pieces right off the bat. So I guess we just found some loose change in the middle of town where probably the Griffin scared people and they ran off and dropped their coin purse. Let's see, 1 story point, which turns out we didn't even need to use any, thankfully. So that brings us up to 4, which will be handy for fighting that camp or that death knight. I'm not sure which we're going to do first. Survived the encounter, that's +1. Heroic Slayer, yeah, we did that. Held the field or achieved objective, also did that. So it's 2 experience, and then for everybody. And then +2 experience that gets spread around however we choose to amongst who's there, which in this case, it's got to go. Unfortunately, Lucky can't get experience still, so I guess it's going to go to Claus and George, of course. Okay, so as it turns out, 3 people are getting an advancement due to their experience points. Wolf jumped up to 9 experience, so he gets his second possible increase. Claus gets his second increase, and George is up to 16, so he gets his third. So we shall roll on those, and they're all the way over on the very next page. So we shall start with, I guess, Wolf. On the non-mystic advancement table, 19 is speed or skill selection. Claws. He only has a +1 traveling skill. Whoops, so far. 41 is agility or toughness increase. Well, he's already got an agility at 2, so we are definitely going to boost his toughness to a 4, because that's huge. And finally, George gets his third roll. 26, which is pretty much just the speed or skill selection. Yeah, I guess speed increase. His skill is just crafting and speech, which isn't too impressive to speak of. So +1 speed, so he'll be able to move 5 inches instead of 4. Which for a guy who pretty much just does melee, you know, that's not terrible. Now we got to do the injury check on good old Clyde, the fresh recruit. So on the follower injury table, which is a bit more harsh than the hero injury table. Uh-oh. That's a 16. He dead. Now, not to sound cruel, but it costs 1 gold piece to recruit a new follower, and it costs 3 gold piece to buy a silver leaf. But I think I'm going to use it anyway, because I don't really want to take the time to go all the way back over there to recruit somebody else and try this again. Use the silver tree leaf, we get to roll the injury again, and we have to take what we get. That is significantly better. An 82. An 82 is no injury. He's just knocked out and comes right back. So onto the loot roll and see what we get. And I gotta kind of admit, I'm kind of agreeing with the Draco Malfoy. These griffins aren't nothing. So anyway, we get 2 loot rolls here. So loot roll number 1, come on, 90 to 100 for an enchanted item. 88, so close. It is consumables instead. Well, at least it's not just valuables. Consumables. Have we even rolled that page yet? Or that table yet? Probably not. That could be all sorts of things. 33, right? Yeah, 33 is a map making kit. That's interesting. I do not even know what that is. Okay, number 2, rats. It's not a magic weapon. It's a regular weapon. I don't know that I want even a regular weapon. Maybe I'll just sell this stinking thing. All right. Is there any chance of getting anything super awesome? No. No, there isn't. Well, so be it. 57. Someone will have to explain to me why the griffin had a war spear sitting around. But it did, apparently. And is a war spear better than a regular spear? That is a thing I do not know the answer to either. So let us go check the gear section. War spear. You may always counterattack in melee combat. Okay, and follower advancement. It only applies to Lucky since she stayed on the table and the other guy didn't. Let's see if she advances to hero status. She definitely does not. On the news table. 18, that is no news. Oh, no, I'm sorry, that is news. I just didn't think it would be. In need of supplies. Skip your next up. Key costs can gain 2 adventure points when you go to. And the town we have to deliver supplies to is Glasswater Village. All right, that said, what is the plan now? We're out here at 23, which we just wiped off the map, which is good. An ex-griffin lives there. So Glasswater Village, pick up 2 AP, but if we go up to Wheat Ridge, excuse me, up here at 9, we can get that letter and get a story point and an adventure point and 2 more adventure points when we show up in Glasswater. So that's what we're going to do. But first we got to do the start of +2 on scouting. And we're going to scout our way to Wheat Ridge. That's the point anyway. So 7+ to do so and avoid the travel roll. Nope, no go. So we have to do the travel roll anyway to get ourselves on up from the no longer location 23 up to location 9. So I'm going to not jinx it and put this in yet until we finish the travel roll, just in case something weird happens. Good old page 111 for the travel roll is a 23, which is uneventful and absolutely nothing happens. That's one of the few times where a low roll is the best roll. Still wish I could get a magic item. Make me feel a lot better. Anyway, so from 23 we wrap around up here to 9 to Wheat Ridge. Upon arrival, we get one... Oh, no, we don't get anything yet. We pick up the letter that we need to take down to Glasswater Village. Do we need to do anything in Wheat Ridge? Not really. We just got gold, so we're just going to settle in, roll for the news, and then it'll be the start of another day. So, news check. 66 is at least not the enemy moving against us, so far as I can tell. 66 is... The Duke's forces raided the enemy. Select a 5+ threat and reduce it by 1 point. If all threats are lower than a 5, gain 1 adventure point instead. The Iceheart Court is the only one still at a 5. The other 2 have been reduced to a 4. The Faceless Kingdom's down from a 6. So we're making progress, folks. 4s for all 3. When all 3 get to 0, you've officially conquered everything in the region, and your campaign ends, assuming you haven't died before that. Or come to some other reason. Within this game, you might think to yourself, oh my god, how long is this going to be? Well, you can set how long you want it to be, just like you can in Dungeons & Dragons or anything else when it's your campaign. You pick when you want it to end, or when the story makes sense, really. But for us, in this case, that was just a nice thing. That Duke is on the move. It is not he's not the Sheriff of Nottingham, that's for sure. He's getting some stuff done. So, start of a lovely day in Wheat Ridge. Go through the start of day stuff. +1 story point added to your total, as everybody talks about how cool we are. I am okay with that. Next, we got to pay people. This time, I'm going to use the campaign activity that lets us get away without paying anything. And for the second activity, I'm going to attempt to scout again, because Glasswater to Wheat Ridge doesn't sound like a terrible path to have, but might use that map kit on that. I don't know, but we'll try scouting first. So 7+, and we accomplish it. So from there down to Glasswater without any trouble. There's no healing to do, no payments to make, so we just make our way back down again to Glasswater Village, where we pick up 3 adventure points, 2 for delivering that stuff that they requested, that we got from the news roll, 1 for delivering a letter, and an additional story point also for delivering the letter. Now this might be a good point to find some of the hideouts, which is a thing you have to do with an adventure point roll. With the adventure milestones. You can specify what type of location you're searching for and then attempt an adventure milestone roll to do it. If you achieve it, you have identified the location in question and then roll a d6 to find out where it was. So I think we're going to do that because there's 3 hideouts, 1 for each threat, the Ruin Within, the Iceheart Court, and the Faceless Kingdom. And at some point, we have to take all 3 of them out in addition to reducing their threat level to 0. So I think we are going to try and find the Ruin Within's hideout. Because their camp is likely who summoned it over here at 10, summoned that to attack Glasswater Village. So it's time to bring the hurt over to the Ruin Within and see if we can't wipe those guys off the map. So let's see if we can do that. Before we add in our travel points, because we have to do this before we actually travel to Glasswater Village and pick up 3 more adventure points and 1 story point. We're at 6 right now. So how many of these do we want to spend to be sure it happens? Well, you can do this multiple times. So if we got 2 attempts at rolling a 3, then it'd save it. So we'll try that. I will spend 3 adventure points, and if you roll a 1, 2, or a 3, we find the hidden location or the hidden camp of the Ruin Within. Nope. So we'll try it again with the other 3 adventure points and kick ourselves in the rear for not just spending 6 to start with, because now we have to make another roll. Phew, but it works this time. So we ended up spending all 6 adventure points. That was just more dramatic than it probably needed to be. So we're down to 0. But we now know we have found the ruin within camp. So now we have to roll on this table here a d6, or the hideout, I should say, and it is a 5. The ruin within a hideout is in the wilderness. So location 24, which it seems like it ought to be over here somewhere, right? '24, the ruin within hideout. That's a biggie. That's a biggie, but that's definitely one worth doing, because I think thematically it's going to be time to get rid of those guys. They have a camp here too. If we get rid of their camp and their hideout, then they're basically out of the campaign. Down to Glasswater Village. We did not make the scouting roll, so we got a roll on the travel table. At this point, we're trotting a pretty standard path. 83, miserable weather. Another travel check, 7+ to get there successfully. Yep, no problem. So I would imagine they could find their way in the dark without a torch at this point back to Glasswater Village, which is where we'll pick up 3 adventure points and 1 story point, just for completing all that stuff that happens to all happen right there. So we go from 0 to 3, and we're up to 5 story points, which feels pretty good, actually. And that also clears out all of our outstanding quests. Our initial arrival in Glasswater Village, although it's heralded with happiness and everybody likes us there at this point, but there's nothing else for us to do, so it's just a news roll at the end of the day. 17, which is nothing happens, news roll again, which is always nice. Oh no, it's not. I thought it was, but it's not. 17 is in fact a community still in need of supplies. Roll for which one it is and pick up 2 more adventure points. I don't think it can be where I'm already at, can it? Nope, so we'll do that again. 2. Which one is 2? 2 is Fort Crane. So Fort Crane's in need of supplies, and we'll pick up 2 adventure points if we go there. So that's good to know. But you know, the next thing we're going to do is take on this hideout. And we know how to get there. So I believe there's some special rules for doing a hideout, so I'll have to look that up. All right, well, we know that we're fighting the ruin within in this hideout, so that part's already taken care of. So all we have to do is roll for what type of ruin within we're encountering in this hideout. The higher you go, roughly, the harder it gets, but we'll see. 69 is the type we're fighting this time in this hideout, and 69 is well-armed brigands. They have a +2 to their total number. They move 5, have a +1 combat value, 4 toughness, and 2 armor, and lie in wait. Each brigand will shoot at a visible target before any actions are carried out at the start of the first enemy action phase. So they get like sniping shots at the very beginning, although that will probably be overcome by the scenario itself. Okay, so well-armed brigands. So now we got to roll how many of them there are. It is worth noting, however, that if you're fighting a raid or on a hideout, increase the enemy number by 2. So roll 2d6, pick the higher one, and then add 4. And that's how many armed, well-armed brigands are in this hideout. So that's 6 + 4, so 10 well-armed brigands. Wow, okay. Notice a hideout raid is actually an exterior fight, which is surprising to me. But the warband gets deployed, we get to sneak up on them because we know they're there, and you must defeat all enemy leader figures to achieve the objective. If you are playing a raid scenario against an enemy hideout, add a captain in addition to the roll below. So we'll have at least 2 leaders that we have to take out. 1 captain, and a 62. which is in fact another captain. So we have 2 captains. So what's the deal with the captain? Well, that takes us up to 12 well-armed brigands, and the captain has a +1 combat skill, a +1 toughness, and +1 armor. They also have parry, regeneration, and counterattack, and tough. Wow, all that definitely is going to make that 12 dudes, 2 of them with parry, regeneration, counterattack, 3 points of armor, 5 toughness. Woo-wee. This is going to be a fight and a half. So there you have it. The team is on the move. They found the Ruin Within Thieves Guild hideout, and they're going to go kick some tail, hopefully, against 12 dudes. The first 10 are a little hard, but not too bad, I don't think. Those 2 captains are going to be tough. But you don't get a counterattack if you get hit with an arrow, so we'll probably be using that as the main thing. And also like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. I know that's a really YouTube-y thing to say, but you know, it helps the channel out. It really does. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'm Ray, this is TinyTableGames, and have a great day. I'll see you next time.